everyone! As some questions are more specific and can only be given in the IELTS reading module, many students find these kind of questions more difficult. One of these questions is true false not given or yes no not given questions. But no matter how difficult and different these kind of questions are, if you understand them better, in this case you can find correct answers more easily. So, by watching this video, I hope you will understand them better. In this video, I'm going to explain firstly the difference between true false not given and yes no not given questions, then common problems that many students have, and finally the strategies and tips for true false not given and yes no not given questions. Let's get started. In both academic and general training tests, you can have true false not given and yes no not given questions. Before starting, you have to identify which question you have, because there is a slight difference between true false not given and yes no not given questions. We can have true false not given questions if the passage is based on facts. But otherwise, if the passage is based on opinions rather than facts, in this case, we are asked to answer yes, no and not given. But again, it is just a simple and small difference. But again, if you try to do this kind of question, you have to approach to both questions in the same way. Now let's talk about the common problems that students have in this kind of questions. Firstly, let's talk about the biggest one. It is about the type of questions. I mean, in the official exam, students don't identify the questions and they even don't pay attention to whether the question is true false not given and yes no not given. And in the exam, when they transfer their answer to answer sheet, instead of writing true false not given, they just write answers as yes no not given questions. And in this case, of course, they can make mistakes easily. Another serious problem here is to understand the questions. I mean, sometimes students can fail to understand the questions or the statement, and in this case, they don't know which one to choose. Especially when it comes to choosing false or not given, they can have more difficulties. Another problem is finding the answer. I mean, sometimes students can easily understand the question, but they can fail to find where the answer is given. So they just try to find the keyword in the question, they understand the question, but when it comes to scanning and finding the part where the answer can be given, so they fail. So you see, there are many problems and difficulties, but of course also there are many strategies and also tips for this kind of questions. If you generally follow these kind of steps and also strategies, you can easily find correct answers to these questions and increase your score. Now, I'm going to talk about the strategies which I think can be very beneficial and useful. Okay, let's talk about now strategies for true false not given and yes no not given questions. Although many students find this kind of questions difficult, if you follow the general strategies for this kind of questions, it can help you save your time as well as find the correct answers to these questions. And now I'm going to talk about these strategies. And firstly, here I have written the first step. It is to read the instructions. Before starting to read the question, you have to pay attention to your instruction. And in the instruction, you are given to write true, false, not given or yes, no, not given questions. And you have to identify your questions, otherwise you can make mistakes. How? Let's say, imagine in the real exam, I mean in the official exam, the first 5 questions are true, false, not given questions. And you just follow all the strategy and try to find the answer to the first question. And imagine the correct answer to the first question is true. But instead of true, if you just write yes, in this case, it is mistake. So in order to avoid this kind of mistakes, try to identify your question and always write true, false, not given if your questions are true, false, not given, or just write your answers as yes, no, not given if the questions are yes, no, not given. Never write yes instead of true, no instead of false, but not given, it is the same. So you are not going to have this kind of problem in this part. After reading the instruction, actually it takes too little time, maximum 2 or 3 seconds, and then after you have to read all the statements. Don't forget, in both academic and general training tests, if you have questions, it doesn't matter it is matching, true, false, not given or multiple choice questions, every time you have to start from the questions. And it is the same for true, false, not given and yes, no, not given questions. So you have to read all the statements and understand what the questions are about. While reading all the statements, you have to find and underline keywords. This section is very important because by finding the keywords, you can easily focus on the question and find the correct answer to question. So it will help you save your time as well. If you find keywords, you don't need to read the question again and again. You just read all the statement once, and while reading you underline the keywords. And when you go back from the last question to the first question in order to find answer to this question, you don't need to read the first question again because you have keyword, and by looking at keyword, again you can easily understand and remember what the first, second, third questions are about. After finding your keyword, the next step is to scan the text. So we know that in IELTS reading there are two types of methods. The first is scanning, the second one is skimming. And don't forget, if you have true, false, not given and yes, no, not given questions, you have to use scanning. It means you just read the first question again and then you start to find in which part of the passage the answer to the second question or first question is given. And if you think that, let's say, the answer to the first question is given in the middle part of the second paragraph, so it means you just read that part, analyze and get your answer. So it is called scanning. And in true, false, not given, yes, no, not given question, you scan the text, find where the answer is given, read, analyze and find your answers. Don't forget, answers to true, false, not given and yes, no, not given questions are given in the same order. It means if you find answer to, let's say, first question, in order to find answer to the second question, you don't need to read previous sentences or previous paragraph. You just only need to look at following sentences, next sentences or next paragraphs. So if you just follow all the strategies, you can find answers easily and also you can save time. Now let's talk about how we should know that the answer is true, false, not given and yes, no, not given. I can say that most students don't have any difficulty to follow the strategy and find where the answer is given. And even I can say that most of them find the exact sentence where the answer is given. But when it comes to finding the answer or analyzing the question, they just fail. Instead of false, they just write not given, or instead of true, they just write false, and so on. So now at the beginning, let me explain what true, false, not given, yes, no, not given mean. True, if we have the question true, it means the statement agrees with the information. But false, it means the statement disagrees with the information given in the passage. Not given means there is no any information about the statement in the passage. And also, yes, somehow similar to true, it means the statement agrees with the claims of the writer, because I mentioned that we have yes, no, not given questions if the passage is based on opinions. Or no, it means the statement contradicts the claims of the writer. And not given means it is impossible to say what the writer thinks about. And in official exam, and also we do some kind of reading test, by the way, I can tell that instead of true, you can write T, or instead of false, you can write F, instead of not given, you can write NG. You can write Y for yes, N for no, and NG again for not given. But when it comes to transferring your answer to answer sheet, so actually you can choose which one you want. You can write true, or instead of true you can write T, or false, instead of it you can write F, or not given you can write NG if you want, it doesn't matter. So I know that you have already known what true, false, not given and yes, no, not given questions mean. I mean definition of true, false and not given. But now I want to explain by giving examples and in more detail. So as you see here, an extract from the passage is given and this is our question. So in the question it said each employee is encouraged by the chain to have his or her own individual way of communicating with customers. So I hope you understand the question, and we just read the question and then after in the question we have to find the keywords. So in this kind of question, when you think that your question is longer and more complex, try not only find only one keyword, but also try to find 2 or 3 keywords. It can help you to understand the passage more clearly. So here I think our keyword, the word that we have to focus on, are these ones. I mean communicating with customers and also to have his or her own individual way. So if I paraphrase the question, it means, so each employee should communicate with customers how they want. I mean they have their own vocabulary or words to choose and communicate with customers. So we underline our keyword and then after we start to scan the text. And imagine you find in, let's say in the second paragraph, I mean this sentence, and you start to read that sentence, I mean this sentence, and analyze and find your answer. So in the sentence it says words and actions are officially laid down. So officially laid down, learned by the staff. You see, learned by the staff from handbooks. We have handbooks and teaching sessions, and then picked up by customers in the course of regular visits. So in the question it said each employee is encouraged by the chain to have his or her own individual way of communicating with customers. But in the passage it said words and actions are officially laid down and they have teaching sessions and then after they start to communicate with customers. So the passage, I mean the information in the passage completely disagrees with the information in the statement. And if we look at the keywords in the passage and also statement, we can see that each detail is somehow disagreed and is not confirmed in the passage. So that's why our answer is here false. So it means your answer is false when the passage disagrees with the statement. Now let's look at another example. And as you see, this is our question. And the first thing we should do is to look at question and find our keyword or keywords. There are certain types of customers who are not welcome at fast food outlets. We read our question and then we have to find the keyword. And here our keyword I think is firstly customers, and secondly we should here underline are not welcome. Mainly we have to focus on this part. And after we have to scan the passage and find in which part of the passage the answer is given. So we find this sentence and we have to read and analyze. The chains have very bright lighting to make sure that undesirable people don't want to come in. So here the word that main keyword are not welcome is paraphrased as undesirable people. And also if you read carefully you can see that other words also are paraphrased in this sentence. So it means that each detail given in the passage is paraphrased and also is confirmed in the passage. And because of this, our answer is true. What about not given? Actually, when it comes to not given, students make many mistakes. I think the main reason is because students don't understand what not given means. Of course, they understand that if there is no any information about the question in the passage, so your answer is not given. So it is correct somehow, but mainly your answer is not given not because there is no any information in the passage. So there is a other reason, so I will talk about it. But your answer can be not given in some cases. The first is your answer is not given when you just read the question and you don't find any information about the question in the passage. So in this case, you can easily just write down not given and actually your answer can be correct. But mostly students just write not given when they just don't understand the question or they don't find the answer to the question and they just, let's say, guess and write that, okay, let's write not given. And in this case, believe me, your answer will definitely be mistake. So when your answer is not given, usually your answer is not given when there is no total information about your question in the passage. I mean the sentence or the statement, let's say, in the question is partly confirmed in the passage, but there is no any information another part of the question. Let's say it is our question, more money needs to be spent on research into new fast food technology. So here again, the first thing we should do is to find our keyword, and our keyword is more money and needs to be spent, and also technology, because we can easily find these kind of words. And after finding our keyword, we start to scan the passage, the same strategy, the same steps. And technology, somehow you see keyword, for example, research, technology, these words are given. So it means answer is most probably given in that sentence, in this sentence. So let's read the sentence. The technology, we just while reading try to underline the keywords or words that can help you to find this sentence. The technology involved has meant, you see, spending huge sums on research. So they have spent huge sums, huge amount of money on research. And there are also political economic questions to consider, how to maintain supplies of cheap beef. And here it is written, more money needs to be spent. So our answer is here, is not given. Why? Because in the passage it said a huge sums on research has spent. Could you see? They have already spent. But there is no information whether they need to spend again money on research in the future or not. There is no information. So that's why the answer is not given. Could you see other parts? Fast food technology, new fast food technology, on research into money, spend. These words are given in the passage. But only that part needs to be spent. Could you see? This part is not given in the passage. So, because of this, our answer is not given. So, be very careful. And if you don't understand the question, don't just write down not given. Okay, your answer will be mistake. So, read the question, find the keywords, and then after analyze. And if the sentence partly agrees with the statement and there is no information, just a part of the question in the passage, in this case, just write not given. Second question. Baby apes go through a canonical babbling stage. So our keyword, I think also you can find easily, canonical babbling stage. So if you even don't know what is canonical, actually it's not important. You have to just only find keyword. And another one is baby apes. But here you have to know what is baby apes. Apes is animal. And we just start to scan the passage, and here we find the statement, and it says no other animal does anything like babbling. So no other animal does anything, you see? So there is no any animal that does canonical babbling. So the passage totally disagrees with this statement. So that's why our answer here is false. Next question from the same passage. So the question is, children with high intelligence make fewer mistakes with under and overextensions. So we find our keyword, of course, under and overextension. This is the keyword, first keyword, and high intelligence. And of course, we have also should consider make fewer mistakes. We can also should, let's say, we should be careful about it. So we start to scan the passage, and actually in the passage, the keyword under and overextension, this word is just only given in this sentence, and of course the answer, it means in this sentence. Let's read the sentence. These underextensions and overextensions develop and change over time in an individual child's usage. So keyword underextension and overextension, these are given, and also develop, it means make some fewer mistakes. Maybe you can also think that it can be paraphrased as like this. And also child is given here, children, could you see? But here our answer, of course, is not given. Why not given? Because in this sentence there is no information about this one, you see? High intelligence. We cannot find information about children with high intelligence. So as this part is not given in the passage, that's why our answer is not given. Could you say here also is our answer is not given because there is no information about the question in the passage. The answer is not given because here information somehow is given in the passage, but not only about this fact, high intelligence. Thank you for watching. If you have any question about this lesson and also any part of IELTS, feel free to ask. For more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. See you!